At the age of 8, John's life was to take an exciting turn. His father was offered a job in the States.
I remember the day my dad came home and he was talking to my mother about it, and we were eavesdropping. You know, my sister, it was like something out of a movie. My sister was at the bottom of the staircase, and then my brother, and then me peeking over the top. And my mom belatedly said, you know, she can't leave, she wouldn't leave her mother. And my dad said, that's not a problem, she'll come with us, and that she's part of the family. So that was it. We were all on our way. But I thought it like of being as a big adventure. I didn't realize the impact it would have on us as a family and how much it would change our lives. I mean, it was completely different. Going to America in the 70s was a huge, huge deal. Because
but what did you think you were going into? How did you feel America would be?
I thought I was going into this place where I was going to get off the plane, because I knew I was going to Chicago, Illinois. I thought I was going to get off the plane and I was going to see Al Capone. You know, and I was going to see, there were going to be gangsters, and there was going to be, you know, flappers, and that was speakeasies. That was my image because of television, because of movies.
I like to be in America, okay by me in America, everything free in America.
For a smoke be in America.
What did life become for you? Were you the one cycling about on his bike, chucking newspapers into people's gardens and diving in the pool every day?
Yes, I did that.
Oh, you did? You're the all-American boy.
I was. I kind of became the all-American boy, riding my bike with my mates, my friends.
But being the new boy in town wasn't all it was cracked up to be.
When we first went to the States, we were all kind of a novelty to the neighborhood. You know, that, oh, you know, somebody from the old country and all of that kind of stuff. And, oh, let's, you know, invite the Barrowmans to the party because they're fun to listen to and all of that. And so once that sort of wore off, I think John had it a little harder on the playground, people making fun of him for his accent.
I was bullied as a kid. That was the other aspect of it, being a new kid coming into a new environment
with a Scottish accent,
and immediately you're judged by your differences. That's what kids do. So I sat down with my friend Laura Mickey, and Laura taught me how to speak like this, and taught me by reading through phonetics and things in the dictionary. She was smarter than I was. But the ironic thing is, when I'm up in Glasgow, and when I'm doing, for instance, filming Tonight's the Night, and I stop filming and I turn to the audience, I speak with a Scottish accent. And I've taken, I say this in a Scottish accent now because I've taken flack by some people in the industry because of doing that. You know, they make fun of it. And that's perfectly fine, because my accent has been made fun of since I was a child, and I know how to deal with it. And if that's the way you want, you know, this is who I am. Part of me is Scottish, and part of me is American, and I just can't change that.
John's growing self-confidence and determination to grab at life's opportunities finally found an outlet when his singing talents caught the ear of the school musical director.
I was playing the flute in the rehearsal room, and the choir director heard me singing a line of music, and he came up and knocked on the door, and he said, "Was that you singing?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Do you think you're good?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Do you think you're arrogant?" And I had never heard the word before. I didn't know what it meant, so I didn't want to look silly, and I went, "Yes." And he said, "I like that. Come to the audition for the school musical after school today, and let's see what you can do." Well, I went to the school musical audition that afternoon. Making a long story short, I got one of the lead roles in Hello, Dolly. I ticked off every member of the choir because they were older than I was, and I was the new boy.
This was just the first of many musical performances for John, and he was soon grabbing every opportunity to showcase his talents.
We always knew John could sing, but we'd never seen him do anything in front of an audience. And I remember the moment he started to sing, I turned to my husband-to-be at that point, who I was dating, and said, "He is really good." And Kevin turned to me and said, "Yeah, your brother is really good." I mean, we knew he could sing, but all of a sudden, and people were applauding him or looking around like, "What? Really? Yeah, I guess he could do this."
So now you have to tell your parents that your chosen profession is going to be that of entertainer, star.
I think my parents always knew, I don't think the word star was involved in it. They knew I wanted to do the stuff in the industry. I think my gran wanted me to be a star. Martin wanted me to be a star, but...
Did you have a plan B?
Only ever a plan A. I would,
Okay.
yes, no, I'd have to say yes, because that's all I ever did, Fern. I never, I mean, I had other jobs. My dad put us in jobs as, in high school, I was shoveling coal into a furnace at Commonwealth Edison Power Facility from 6 o'clock in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon in overalls and a hard hat and really like 120, 130 degree heat all day. And it was to learn the value of work. And also it was something my dad said to us. He said, look, he said, we need people to do these jobs. You have to find out if you're one of those people who's going to be able to do that job. Or do you want to go on and do something different? And I wanted to do something different.
John realised if he was going to make a living from his love affair with musicals, he needed all the experience he could get. And Opryland in Nashville, Tennessee, with its 2.5 million visitors a year, was the perfect practical education. An amusement park with a difference. Large-scale musical shows played alongside roller coasters and carousels.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
Opryland, for me, was one of those glorious moments in my youth and my career, and it was the beginning. It taught me to be the performer, and I'd say the generous performer that I like to think that people think I am today.
It was exhausting work. He would call, and he had been doing like 8 shows in a day in 100-degree weather, and it was very much, you really learn your craft, you know, in a way that probably a lot of performers don't get out in the trenches like that.
As well as honing his craft, a cast member's idea of a practical joke led to John learning a valuable lesson in showmanship.
I was in this show called I Hear America Singing Its Song, and I was dressed in a white polyester pantsuit, and I was singing a song. I got music, I got rhythm, and I felt that I had to pass gas. So, you know, I thought, okay, and I went, I got my man who could ask for anything more. I got daisies in green pastures. I had more than daisies in green pastures. I felt heat.
Damp heat?
Damp heat in my nether regions.
In the white polyester pants?
In white polyester pants. But I am the true performer. I kept kicking and singing. I got my man who could ask for anything more.
How did you get off stage?
I backed off. I just kept backing off. And I get to the backstage area, and there's my understudy laughing. Of course. And dressed, ready to go on. He was laughing, and I knew he'd done something. He put powdered laxative in my water that morning, which could be very dangerous. Don't do it. Needless to say, he got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
His time at Opryland was to be an education in every way. It was here that he finally acknowledged the course his life would take and the man he would become, in more ways than one. He fell in love for the first time.
His name was Michael Clowers, and I remember seeing him perform in another show at Opryland. And I was watching him, and that was the first time I'd ever felt that. That tingle, that kind of, I want to get to know this person better and more. I knew I had to talk to him, so I mustered up the courage to talk to him, and it just makes me smile thinking about that at the time, because it was my kind of coming of age, my really understanding who I was and what the rest of my life was going to be about. And we were swimming one night in Nashville in the pool, and we were by ourselves, and it was completely clear, and the stars were glorious. And I remember just swimming, and I swam in my back and got to the steps, and I just lay there, and I just closed my eyes, and then the next thing I knew, I was being kissed.
Wow.
And that was it.
And it felt right.
And I knew it was right. And it felt right. I knew it was right. And it was my first kiss.
You never had any conflict with who you are at all, it sounds. You just knew you were gay and this is your path, and that's because so many people do, or they say later, you know, there was a conflict about being who they are but keeping it from their parents, their family.
Well, I kept it from my
colleagues.
I didn't tell my parents until I was in my 20s, till I first came to the UK. I also didn't tell people openly. I didn't think it was an issue. And so when I first came to this country, people thought I was straight. I said, and then they say to me, but we didn't know you were gay. I said, but why do you need to know? Why do you need to have a definition of somebody before you find out who they are and what they are as a person and what they can do in the performance of their job? What they do in their bedroom or who they love does not define who they are as an individual or human being. Because we all love different people.
Exactly.
I am what I am. I am my own special creation.
John's confidence in his sexuality has grown over the years to become an intrinsic part of his public and private persona.
He's not frightened to be who he is. I remember him walking around Texas in a pair of pink cowboy boots and a pink Stetson, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like we're in the middle of Texas. This is going to get us in so much trouble. And he was like, if you don't like it, it's, you know, tough. And that's what's great about John.
I am what
You've got to be incredibly brave to be yourself.
I am what I am. I don't want praise. I don't want pity. I bang my own drum. Some think it's noise. I think it's pretty.
John's signature tune says it all, and he has no conflict with having a faith and being gay. But he knows that other people may not be so fortunate.
There are so many young men and women in society at the moment who have that struggle, and this is why they have the struggle, Fern. They have the struggle because not they're tormented inside. It's because of what they're hearing around them. And these people who claim to be Christians are telling these young men and women that they are wrong, that they are evil, that they shouldn't love, that they were not made this way. How dare you make that judgment? I am what I am. It hurts me and it upsets me when I hear people who say they are Christians who aren't saying very nice things about other people. I deal my own death. Sometimes the ace, sometimes the deuces.
We're still in that generation where people are scared of who they really want to be. And the way John kind of is just proud and he's so comfortable in himself, I think it's great. I think it's given people total inspiration to be who they are.